Hi everybody, my name is Donna Gorton. Welcome to my show, The Willows Bend. Tonight we are going to be covering three older topics that were lost in the original archives so that they can be replaced basically. So we're going to be talking tonight about Carillion Photography, which is the aura photos that can be taken in different places if you have the equipment. Oftentimes they're found down in like city kiosks and things like that. Hi Lonnie, welcome, welcome, and Miss Sandy. So we're also going to be talking about Atlantis and Lemuria and black dogs and hellhounds. That's all of them, should be. So, oh my gosh, I had such a, well, it's not done yet, honestly, fiasco today from pretty much the moment my feet hit the floor. Iona, hi, how are you? Hi, Mary. Um, so it started with, I guess my AOL account got hacked, which is what I get into Facebook with. And after almost 2 hours spent on the phone with them, I still don't have it straightened out yet. The dude's supposed to call, but he's not going to get very far if I'm on live, I'm guessing. So needless to say, Katie is going to have to upload the show to YouTube after like tomorrow, whatever, and it'll still be part of the archives. It just won't be done live, is all. But I can see comments on my phone. It doesn't currently let me in on my tablet, which is stupid, but you know. Hi, Lisa. And Miss Chris, yes, I did. So Katie and I kind of tweaked it she's going to upload the show later from the group, basically, and it'll still be saved into the somafusion archives, and I can see the comments on my phone. My tablet is still inoperable for Facebook. Yeah, it's just giving me the old profiles that I had made back when I was being targeted last year, and I had recreated like a different one each week to try to let you guys know I'm still alive out here. And it's only offering me those to log into. So, and the AOL account, I guess, got deactivated for all somehow it got hacked. So there's all this suspicious activity that was trying to happen, I guess, across Europe with Bitcoin, Target gift cards, Amazon gift cards. And I'm like, yeah, I don't shop at those places or buy Bitcoin even. So, needless to say, it's currently deactivated until we can get fixed. I think I said I should have had the code to do it over what 2 hours ago. Never got it. I tried calling him back, and he said the guy should be calling you back anytime now. Yeah, that was half an hour ago. So the show must go on. Oh, me too, Mary, because I usually, for the show, I go live on my tablet and then I watch comments in the phone, and that way I can see any comments that appear through, like, YouTube as well. But it will not give me access to my current profile on Facebook on my tablet, so. And it kept being like, oh, well, download this app and then try this and verify who you are on there so that nobody else can hack into this as an account again on here. And I mean, through like 5 or 6 different apps, this dude was having me do this. And time consuming. Well, hi there, Chieftainess. Pleasure to have you here tonight. Oh, it has, Chris. It's been horrible. You have made it, and I'm glad that you're here. So we are tweaking things a little bit tonight. So Katie will upload things through somafusion and broadcast it everywhere tomorrow. It just won't be live like it normally is, but it'll still be, in the Willows Bend, and we'll be safe. Because I don't know why, but it's letting me log into Facebook from my phone, but not my tablet. Go figure. So anyhow, I'm here, and that's what matters, right? I was kind of freaking out earlier, like, oh my gosh, am I going to get this done in time? And yeah. Yeah, so Danielle is the chieftainess of my clan. So yes, it's a pleasure to have her here tonight. So we're going to do the sage blessing and get that going. And I do apologize too for not putting out an event reminder notice like I usually do, but I was busy with all this chaos all afternoon. Like literally within 15 minutes after I got up, it started. And still not done yet, but again, I can get in here this way, so we're doing it. Remember, most times if all the doors are closed, look for an open window. And that's what we're doing. So, everybody always likes me to do a protection / sage circle of protection and blessing for everybody before we start. So I'm going to do that now. Hi, Kim. How are you, lady? Fire it up, as Sandy Griffin would say. So I don't have all the original photographs that went with this show, nor do I now have a device I can actually, well, I mean, I could look them up online and pull them for you, but that would be a pain and time consuming. Hence, we're not doing that. So, I mean, I'm sure most of you have seen them anyway. Short on patience. I'm not as tired as I typically have been. Like, I think that the med thing is starting to stabilize out, hopefully. So, it's been more just frustrating dealing with this crap all day. Hi, Tanya. And of course, they call out to like India, and that's where their hired help is from. So, oh, slow down. So everything is slow down. You're going too fast. No, I'm not, actually. Keep up. So, yeah. Hi, Chris. Welcome. And beautiful Tanya. My sage is burning out. All right. So with this sage, I cast a circle of protection around anyone and everyone who watches the show in or the replay, and that may they be protected from any ill will or harm. And may that protection follow them outside into their personal lives as well, keeping them safe from the same. So I will it, so mote it be. Doesn't want to stay lit. Got ashes everywhere though, didn't I? Let's put that up here. I'll let you kind of filter out up there. To sit, to. Okay. Alrighty, party started. I am doing well, Kim, thank you. Alright, so let's see how many are here. 8. Hi, Marianne, I didn't see you come in. I'm so used to not having the comments on screen anymore, like the somafusion setup where I'm at the top and the comments are on the bottom typically, but it's how we started. We're going old school tonight. And there's Marianne. Alright, so let's get this party started, and whoever else is going to wander in, everybody always does, that's fine. So, what is Carillion Photography? We always lay the foundation. So, how are you, Marianne? What is it? So basically, it's a form of photography believed to show the aura of living things. In terms of, there's Sandy. How are you, love? I like the bigger screen as well, but it's a whole fiasco tonight, Tanya, so this is the only way I can get live tonight is this way. So, it's better than no show. Which was the alternative. There's Katie. Okay, so it's a form of photography believed to show the aura of living things, people, or inanimate objects even. And the study of it can be traced back to the late 1700s, but it was officially discovered by Semajan Davidovich, there we go, Kerulian in 1939. So how does this thing work? Oh yeah, Tanya, long story. I just actually kind of summed it for everybody before you came in, but my AOL email got hacked, and that's how I sign into Facebook. For some reason, it's still letting me get on my profile on my phone, but not my tablet, which is what I usually go on to connect Katie on. And it's still not fixed. So this is the only way we can do it. Katie will upload it later into archives tomorrow or whatever, and it'll still be saved, but just this is the only way to get on the air tonight. So we're doing it. All right, so how does Carillion Photography work? So first, it's a shot, like a sheet of photographic film is placed on top of a metal plate to make the exposure of an object, and then they pass like this high voltage current that's applied to the metal plate, and the object is then placed on top of the film. So the electrical discharge, it creates like a coronal discharge between the object and the plate, and it's captured on the film, in essence. So once the film gets developed, the Carillion photograph shows like a light aura around an object. And it can be, I mean, there are different places around that have the equipment to do it. And it's supposed to be the person's aura that gets shown. And normally it'll show up like around the person's head. Sometimes it can be parts of the screen shows. And it's supposed to be the colors of a person's aura. Now, I haven't actually talked to anyone to say who can see auras to say, does this look like what their aura looks like, to compare the two. But that's how it's supposed to work. Hi, Terry. How are you, lady? And so you can also do it, though, with any organic object, like leaves and plants. And that was, like, kind of what was originally tested. So the very first ones were, I think they used the person's hand. And then after that, they went to using all kinds of different plants. They're really quite beautiful. I mean, if you'd like me to take a second to pull up some photographs for you on my tablet, I can do so. But I don't have like the original one saved from back when we covered the topic originally. So let me know in chat if you'd like me to do that. I can. But otherwise, I'm just going to go through the notes. So how did this Simeon Kerulian discover this as a way of conducting photography, basically? So he was famous as a skillful electrician, and he was regularly called upon to fix lab equipment of various institutions and so forth. And so in 1939, he saw a demonstration of a high-frequency electrotherapy device, and you'd love to see one. Okay. And he noticed a small flash of light between the machine's electrodes and the patient's skin, and that kind of gave him some ideas, and it made him curious. So, that's not good, Chris. We'll be here. Alright, so give me a second to run a search for it, and we'll get you a couple shots so you can see what they look like. I've been caught up in that Netflix show called The Witcher. It is really good. I can see where people are excited about it. And Henry, what's his name? Henry Cavill? Or Cavill? He's easy on the eyes. We'll say it that way. Yeah, he's pretty. Carillion. There we go, photography. And images. Straight hairs, yeah. There we go. Okay, so here is one of a leaf. He is yummy. Yes, he used to play Superman. Just noticed I'm not matching sound either. Huh, that's weird. So here's one of a leaf. Pretty, right? Yeah, I have somebody else lets me use their password to get access to Netflix. So they put me on their account type deal. Toss a coin for your Witcher. Yep. And there's a slice from an apple. So kind of anything that is organic in nature, i.e. living, it has, I mean, everything is made up of energy. We all know that. Science has proven that. Energy doesn't ever die. It just changes forms, right? And that's kind of the idea behind this, that you're always going to see something different. And anything that comes from organic material will have it. So this is a cool one because it's a penny. And so when they do that of a person, it's supposed to show what colors your energetic field is. So I thought that was cool because that's a penny. Let's see what else we got here. This is a person's hand. Pretty cool, right? Looks like a whole, like, sun nova thing in the middle there. There was also, they did like an interesting study with it. I'm seeing if I can find the pictures for it. Oh, here it is. So they also tried tearing a leaf off, like tearing a piece off of a leaf and then photographing it. Lots of energy in the palm. Yes, very much so. This is a camera lens. Yes, Sandy, this is my phone I'm going live on. So I'm able to access Facebook still on my original, my current profile on Facebook on my phone, but it's not letting me on my tablet, which is how I usually broadcast to Katie through Zoom to put it out to everywhere. So yeah, this is my phone. So they did like experiments with cutting pieces off, and they noticed that even though they took part of the leaf off, it still has an energetic field from the missing piece, which is also fascinating, I think. But they have, like, you know, they did it to a few different things. Here's another one where it had a couple of, hold on for me, oh, it's a small one, I guess, but so you can still see it. Oh, that one's bigger. The middle orange one there and the yellow one, you know, it has like tips missing too, but it still has the faint outline there. Not as bright as when it was all connected, but it still have it. Oh no, the pictures. No, this is on my tablet in my search bar, my search bar, yeah, of my tablet. So they're not screenshotted, basically. In other words, let me. So, like when an atypical human body gets photographed, there we go. It can look like that, like a full body one. However, if you get them done at like those kiosks or whatever in line, she wants to know what took the pictures. Oh, it's the material, or the Carillion Photography cameras is what took the camera. So they're using that method of photography is how it was captured. Let me go back because I saw, that's what I wanted. So these are some aura photos that were done in like of people at those places that have this Carillion photography set up. I have heard of mostly like in cities and whatever. So here's one woman who had kind of a rainbowy aura to her. And then here's another one who is kind of a little bit hazy, cloudy. That leads me to questions about phantom pain of limbs of people. I am guessing that if you took a shot of their, an amputee, it probably would show up, I'm guessing. At least to some degree. Let's see here. This one, the actress Gwyneth Paltrow, who is like Blythe Danner's daughter, and can't remember her father, but, so that's hers. I know there's a bit of a glare. I'm trying to avoid the glare, but so that's Gwyneth Paltrow's aura photo. Let's see here. We got any other cool ones in here to show you. So this one's interesting because it looks like, well, he looks like some form of a, like, I don't think he's Buddhist, but he's a monk of some kind. but it looks like he's, got that kind of halo to him, which is interesting. Bruce Dern, thank you. I couldn't remember it. Now this person is interesting because white has said that if you have a lot of white in your aura, that it's very like healing, natural healing energy to you. Hi Tanya. You're done feeling great today, or you don't feel great? I'm guessing don't. So that's another person. So those are some examples of what those look like anyway. Don't feel good, yeah. I didn't think it was supposed to be done. Just seeing if there's any other really cool ones in here. I think that's pretty much most of them. So you get the gist of what they look like when you get them done, right? Okay. So he was that Simeon Kerulian guy. He was curious about like that small flash of light, and he wanted to get it photographed. He was curious, so he replaced the glass electrodes that were connected to how the original photography was done. He saw that in, and he substituted one with metal ones instead, and then he started taking photos in visible light, and he was able to get unusual pictures of an energetic discharge around his hand, which I did show a hand one before. So over the next 10 years, he and his wife developed a machine for Carillion photography. The machine was using very high frequency oscillator or spark generating machine that operated around 75 kilohertz. And they believed that it could detect plant disease that otherwise weren't detectable. He also thought that it could also give insights into a person's health. So by early 1960s, Carillion photography had attracted really widespread attention and got very popular because, well, it is very interesting. And he was given a pension in a well-equipped lab in Russia, and many Russian institutes wanted to collaborate with them because this is something really new, plus, again, to explore the possibilities of detecting disease with it. They were like all down for that. So, a second here. No, they even made like an educational film out, like demonstrating how it works, and it was shown, like made for grade schoolers back in 1964. So with the advent of the New Age thinking spiritualists, they believed that auras that were basically supported by Carillion's photography, and his assertion that it was indeed what was being photographed in there. Now, they believed that it gave insight into a person's physical, emotional, and psychic state. And even though using Carillion photography has kind of fallen by the wayside as being used for a diagnostic tool, some practitioners do still believe that it's an accurate way to heal all kinds of emotional and physical conditions. I imagine it would be with alternate types of healers, or perhaps chiropractic things that are not mainstream Western medicine. I've never met a doctor who's down with that, but so I'm guessing it'd be more like, in Eastern medicine or alternate healers. Okay. In the late 60s and 70s, paranormal researchers suggested that telepathy was the result of people's auras communicating together, and that Carillion photography could help with that. So the science behind Carillion photography, the shining auras that surround both living and non-living objects, science says that the answer is water, being what's responsible for it. The high voltage frequency applied to the metal plate rips the electrons off of the atoms. The air around the object is photographed, and that the air gets ionized. Wanted to send healing light to my daughter. She's downstairs. Oh boy, I saw part of her post that she was having trouble getting seen and stuff. And hopefully, is she in the hospital or is she home? So yeah, science thinks it's like water coming off of the electrons and the electrons coming off the atoms. Science calls it a coronaplasma discharge. And they also think that humidity affects the final image as well. So photographs taken of the same person minutes apart can be very different because, well, your mood changes all the time and that affects your energy and your energetic field, right? So if you, those who can see auras, lots of times, they get really mad about something. A big outline of red might show up in someone's auric field for someone who sees auras, and they can detect that. Other times it can be, trying to think of the different generalized colors. If someone is a natural healer, they may have a lot of white in the third eye area, or if their hands are photographed, then they may have like a lot of white in their aura as well for the hands. So things like that is what's thought to show up. Photos, again, can be different depending on your mood. When your mood is energy, essentially, and they all interact. So science explains away all photos as being this coronaplasma discharge, whatever it be, whether it's person, plant, alive, or dying, they just write it all off as that. She went home, didn't find any about x-rays until she left. Of course, after she left, yep. Well, she's probably better off home for now anyway, because you get more rest. You don't get woke up every 2 hours to get your vitals done. In addition to being exposed to all the other germs in the hospital. The Kerulian effect also doesn't work when it's done in a vacuum, as there's no water vapors present. So they do believe that water does influence the final image. However, like science explains it away as being like due to water vapors, they're just saying yes, it impacts it, but it's not the reason for it. Hey, beautiful Ronnie. So that's pretty much Carillion Photography, is that, it's supposed to take images of a person's auric field. But it does also capture in other ways too, like plants and inanimate objects. As long as they contain organic material, it'll show up. So, kind of cool. Doesn't make sense if it's water. I wouldn't think water would be... I agree with that. And even if you're ripping the electrons off of the atoms, it doesn't account for the wide range of colors that you see, or how from minutes apart, the same thing photographed can look very different. Even plants, they are responsive to a lot of different stimuli. Anybody who has a good green thumb, they know, like, plants like being talked to, and you have nice music played for them and things like that. They respond to that. So I'm guessing if you were to photograph a plant or take a leaf from a plant that had been listening to or having nice music played around it for several minutes, and you took a leaf from that plant and photographed it, and then you played like 5 or 10 minutes of, say, death metal or something, and then photograph that one, they would look very, very different, even though it's the same, plants, leaves from the same plant. They're going to react to what they're exposed to, because it's a living thing. So I don't abide by that as a one-size-fits-all explanation either. So, let me find, because I did happen to skip over a couple of the smaller topics that we did do originally, but they were literally smaller topics that didn't have a whole lot to them, in addition to the Seth Speaks material, as we just got done covering a lot of that in book group, and I didn't know what the interest would be of everybody with it without checking in. So I figured I'd skip it. So let me just find where. I didn't have time to bookmark these off. Oh, and the Ica stones I skipped too, because that was a smaller topic, and it's still up for debate as to whether they were fakes or not. I don't think all of them were, but that's my opinion. My mama putting her plants... Oh, I need to go back a minute here. Am I going to jump There we go, on Stevie. Yeah. My mother talked to hers a lot, and she insisted upon it. She used to raise African violets, which are very, very sensitive to everything. You sneeze wrong in their direction and you can die. And so she always was really good at fostering them and getting them to bloom and everything. Uh, yep. Poor plants come to my house to die. Yeah, my green thumb isn't as good as it used to be. It depends when I'm planting. I do better with like container plants outside. If as long as you got good light and stuff, I can get things to grow out. I don't know why the difference, but they just don't do much for me inside. Yeah, my mom used to have plants like everywhere, and as a kid, it used to be my job to dust their leaves, which unfortunately I understand the importance of doing, but I don't have much patience for it as an adult. I just don't. It's one of those things. So, onward and upward to Atlantis and Lemuria. Now, I just actually, right before coming in to set up the live screen, had approved a couple things. And we, in the past, have talked about Atlantis, Lemuria, and Talos as well. And Chris had just shared a couple things about Talos into the group, which I'd never had a chance to look at yet, but she shared them in. I approved them, so they're in the group if anyone is interested. You have many plants, yeah. People usually, they do. That or, not sufficient light, but yeah, overwatering is a big one. Or underwatering. And so, let's dive into Atlantis first. So, Atlantis is Greek for Island of Atlas. And you read the plants, do you? Are you able to converse with them? Or do you just, read their energy fields? Sorry, my hands are really, really dry. All this changing weather. We're supposed to get up in the 60s tomorrow. We just had a freaking nor'easter a couple days ago. Go figure, right? But it saves me from cleaning off the truck and all that. Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, I thought you were saying I read them for the plants, but I'm with you now. Same page and same book even. All right. Sorry. One of my blonde moments there. So Atlantis is Greek for Island of Atlas, and the ancient Greek writer Plato, he described it as a real place based on a story. So he allegedly he was a child, and his family had people over, friends and stuff, and so he overheard an older guy telling his father, I guess, or his grandfather, the story of Atlantis. And from there, he ended up growing up and transcribing the story from memory. Hey, beautiful Karen. I would talk to plants. I do that. So, some details might have got lost because he was a kid when he heard this original story. Now, some believe that this is an actual place that perhaps sunk into the sea at one point. Yeah, we got up to 40s anyway here today, and then it's supposed to be 64 tomorrow. Hi, Doreen and Renee. Welcome. So it is, many people think that it's a lost island that got sunk into the sea. Others believe it to be more allegorical for the antagonistic naval power besieging Greece during that time frame that he wrote it in. So, and think it's just complete fallacy, and everybody who searches for it is wasting their time, blah, blah, blah. So, my son killed goldfish by overfeeding them. Aw, the poor things. Yeah, it doesn't take much, just a tiny sprinkle. So Plato, he lived he was born around 424 and lived to 328 BCE, which is just before current era, meaning before year 0 in our timeline. He was born before that. And he described Atlantis as a powerful and advanced kingdom that sank at night and in a night and one day during around 9600 BCE. And again, this is his memory of the story he overheard as a child being told to his dad. Since the 19th century, there was a renewed interest in linking Plato's Atlantis with actual historical locations that is most often thought to be the Greek island of Santorini, which was destroyed by a volcanic eruption around 1600 BCE. And many people think that the description of the location, in addition to how fast an island like that would have gone down from a volcanic eruption, and it matched the timeline. So, I mean, it is a very distinct place that he described, and as of yet, it hasn't been found. Many people have found things that they think it could be, but it's all still kind of speculation at this point. The closest thing that they pretty well say had to be around in existence around the same time is the Bimini Road, which we talked about before in the Bermuda Triangle area, that was found, that are these massive blocks of stone that are very regularly shaped, kind of rectangular shapes, and they're in a line. And it's thought that that was a road at one point to, like trade goods road or traveling between different towns, whatever, but it's called the Bimini Road, and many people think that that belonged to Atlantis in some way, shape, or form. He gives, so the description of what he described it, he said that it's described as being bigger than Libya and Asia Minor combined, and is an island. Yes, Bimini Road is thought to be part of it, and it's located in the Atlantic Ocean just beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which is assumed to mean the Strait of Gibraltar, is where they're, a lot of it's changed names and things since then, and territories and whatever. So they try to translate the Greek writing into what it is now called. So he referenced it as the Pillars of Hercules, and they think that it meant the Straits of Gibraltar. So they think it was located around there. They also think that it was kind of shaped like, Miss Mindy, hi there, lady. Haven't seen you in forever. So every drawing of it that I've ever seen, it has like a concentric circle shape that has like a core center, and then it kind of radiates outward in kind of layers, essentially. But it is an island, and then from there it has different like offshoot roads coming off of it that are assumed to lead elsewhere. So it was protected by, or thought to be, he said, protected by the god Poseidon, who was the god of the oceans, who made his son Atlas king and named the island after him as well. And it said that the Atlanteans grew more powerful, and as they did, their ethics declined. So there was a lot of, said to be, like, they got greedy, basically, and became kind of warlords. So their armies eventually conquered Africa as far as Egypt, and Europe as far as the Etruscan, I always mispronounce this word, I think it's Etruscan, Italy, before being driven back by the Athenian-led alliance. And by way of, quote, divine punishment, the island was beset with earthquakes, floods, and sank into the muddy sea. Plato heard it from his grandfather, who heard it from an Athenian statesman who was named Solon, who was 300 years before Plato's time. So it's a story that's gotten kind of passed down, and details could have obviously gotten changed by the time he overheard it being told to his grandfather. Some places say it was his dad, some places say it's his grandfather. But regardless, he recounted the story he did hear. So, it's an ancient story. So even if he wrote it back in 1600 BCE, you're going back even further from when it originally supposedly existed at its height and took place. So where did history go after Plato? So in 1627, there was an English philosopher and scientist named Francis Bacon who published a utopian novel titled The New Atlantis, who, like Plato before him, he told of a politically and scientifically advanced society on a previously unknown island. And then in 1822, there was a former U.S. Congressman, Ignatius L. Donnelly, who published another book that rejuvenated still renewed interest in the topic. And a lot of people go by his book now to kind of figure out where things might be. So he wrote the book, Atlantis, the Antediluvian World, is what that was called. And this touched off a frenzy of people trying to locate and learn from the history of Atlantis and what went wrong and so forth, and the infighting that started happening. Donnelly hypothesized that an advanced civilization whose immigrants populated much of ancient Europe with Africa and the Americas was his theory, that, as they dispersed and any survivors after the island sank, they, dispersed out to the Americas, North and South, and Africa. Donnelly's theories were popularized and elaborated on in the turn of the 20th century and are often incorporated into New Age beliefs about Atlantis and Lemuria. I hate that title, New Age belief, because it's not really New Age, but So it's again thought to be the Greek island of Santorini, which is half-submerged caldera created by the massive 2nd millennium BCE volcanic eruption. Some even think Atlantis was run by a race of aliens, is an alternate theory about it as well. Now, here is where Lemuria comes into the equation. So, Lemuria was also thought to be called Mu, M-U, and it's hypothetically like a lost land located either in the Indian or the Pacific Ocean. And the name and concept of Lemuria was proposed by a 19th century traveler and writer, Augustus Le Plezieron, and he claimed several ancient civilizations like Egypt's and Mesoamerica were created by the refugees of Mu located in the Atlantic. So basically, the people who survived from Atlantis were, he thought, left and, spread out, and that they went on and they were the ones that kind of went on to build Egypt and so forth. He got the name Mu from Charles Brassier de Bourbourg, who believed that the word Mu, M-U, referral made to a land that meant that it was a land submerged by a catastrophe. He had identified Mu and Atlantis as a sister island to Mu, so that Lemuria was a sister island to Atlantis. Now, a lot of them also think that the Lemuria, there's another theory where Lemuria is thought to be like a segregation of the Atlanteans. So when they started kind of getting more greedy and warlike, and hey, let's take this continent, let's take this country, and kept pushing forward till they, reached Egypt. It was thought, they thought that the Atlanteans' theory was that they wanted it to be like, hey, we're the supreme race of beings here who are smarter and we are more advanced than these outlying areas, so we should make all the rules and we should run things for them. And it's thought that the Lumerians said, you know what, no, we don't have that right to do that. Let them develop on their own. It's not our responsibility to take over anybody else here. We could teach them, yes, but don't impose your will on them and remove the free will ability to learn and advance in their own time. So it's thought that divergence might have also caused Lemuria and Atlantis to create two separate locations with that. It's, different opinions. So then enter James Churchward. James was an explorer who popularized and expanded on the idea created by his friend the Plongeret. I don't speak French. Y'all know that. So when he was a soldier in India, he befriended a high-ranking temple priest who introduced him to the long-lost language Nagamaya. And it was only 2 people in all of India who could read it, and James was one of them who mastered it. They're so advanced they would still be here, although not if the island sank. And that's where also the idea of Talos comes in, which we have talked about before, but not everybody may have heard that, is that when Atlantis was going to sink, that basically Asgard, which is another name for Gaia or Earth, that those higher beings basically said, okay, if you can give up any warring ways and get rid of any weaponry and so forth and abide by our rules, you will be allowed to build a city underneath the earth. The opening is supposed to be in Mount Shasta in Washington State. And then you'll be allowed to build your city and get your people out of there before this catastrophe happens. Some made it, some didn't. Not only, I think they were supposed to have like 100,000 people or something, and only half of them made it to underground into the city there. And the rest kind of, they say, chose, to stay behind in order to reincarnate, here as workers and things like that. So, again, that would be more in the New Age spiritualist views of things. So, this guy, the James Churchward, hey Nancy, you are late. Yes, we started 45 minutes ago. Okay, so when he discovered it originated from the place of the first appearance of the first man, Mu. Like this language allegedly came from the first place where the first human man appeared. And again, only him and one other dude in India spoke this language. So it was like that ancient of a language. James described Mu as the home for Nekal, which was an advanced civilization, and it was dominated by a white race that was superior in many ways. Now, this could be getting into the white supremacy stuff a little bit, and that thought that anybody of any color was below white people. So keep that in mind. These are not my views by any means, and everyone who knows me knows I'm not racist at all. Not a bone in my body. I hate racism. But this, I think, could be influenced by that view. There you go. Go sit up the drinks, get on the couch, make yourself cozy. I'll be punished. So, they thought that it was dominated by a white race that was superior in many ways to the generalized population. Hi, Ted. He's late, too. So Mu had around 4 million inhabitants in most of the large cities at the time of its demise. And James... We're getting on to the Hellhounds next, so I got to finish this topic first. We're talking about Atlantis and Lemuria right now. So James also claimed that Mu was a contributor to the megalithic art that was throughout Polynesia, like the giant heads on Easter Island and stuff. He wrote 5 volumes on Mu, and he thought that Lemuria sank into the sea through a series of natural catastrophes. And another theory about Lemuria is, like with the wars that were supposed to have been happening between Atlantis and Lemuria over the fight to let civilizations develop on their own, had like thermonuclear devices, and that's what accounts for the areas of like the big desert areas that are around the world today, like the Sahara and things like that. It's thought that's where those came from. Late, Ted. That's okay. Yeah, we started about 45 minutes ago-ish. So, he also thought that some colonists migrated to America, forming a racial core of the earliest Indian tribes. So that, like, the original inhabitants of Mu had emanated to North America and South America and created the indigenous population. Oh, Jesus, I'm so sorry. I didn't turn off my notifications. See, I'm so unused to getting on live on Facebook anymore. I totally forgot it. Let me shut all that off. There we go. Done. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, Chris, have a good night, lady. So, he thought other survivors, whatever, had reached India, and from there traveled to Egypt and Mesoamerica, and they're the ones that populated Egypt and Mesoamerica, was people from Mu, or Lemuria. James thought that pure Lumerians, who later became, he thought, the California Indians, were indigenous people, and had their home in California. And that some Lumerians salvaged some of their wisdom and stored them in Lumerian seed crystals that contain knowledge and the story of Lemuria. And we did a story on, like, gemstone crystals. Thought he had, yeah, that's my phone. Is this a Lumerian? Let me see. The bifocal's up there, right? This one is not a Lumerian, I don't believe. I don't see the seeds of my bifocals here. So, we did a show, like, how to identify the different types of crystals at one point, which it'll be up to you guys if you want me to recover that again. However, they have, like, this is not one, but just to demonstrate, let me find the clear part of it here. So you'd see, like, little seed-shaped looking things in them that identifies it as a Lumerian seed crystal. And through that, you're supposed to be able to hold it and meditate and be able to tap into some of that history of, like, what actually happened is the idea behind that. So, he also had said that Lemuria also had built the pyramids, which were places of worship and sacrifices in areas for landing spaceships, which of course was pretty big deal for the time frame he wrote this stuff in. Do the crystal show again? Yeah, I would have to go back and retrieve, like, the photographs and pull all my crystal pieces, because I use stuff from my own collection to demonstrate them. So, if you guys are interested, we can cover that as part of, because I do believe it was pre-Katie time, that pre-somafusion time. So, in which case it would have been lost. So, they are fun. So, that was, like, his whole contribution, and where a lot of the original ideas pertaining to the spirituality side of Lemuria comes from, is this James guy. And again, it is thought that the city of Talos that they supposedly built can be accessed underneath Mount Shasta. And I know many people who have visited there say that they do feel like almost a reverent energy around there, like they've hiked it and stuff like that and visited it, and then it just feels like a reverence, almost like when you know that energy you get when you visit a cemetery where you just feel like it's a very sacred space. It has that vibe to the mountain. Never been there, but it'd be cool to check out. So what does science today say about Lemuria? Because we always look at all sides. Science today, of course, dismisses physical existence of Mu and other lost continents. The reason a continent can't sink or be destroyed by any catastrophe in such a short period of time as described in texts like Plato's, why they say it can't exist, is that there's no way a whole continent can sink in that time frame. Science believes it's best left to New Age and spirituality sections of bookstores. Yes, Sedona has its own energy as well. And so that science just writes off the whole idea of a sunken continent and the existence of either Atlantis or Lemuria, and as not being possible to have lost a whole continent overnight and in one night and a day from the eruptions. Right. So, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Do you believe that they did at one time exist? Or do you think that, agree with science that there's no way? I mean, I've watched several shows, like, laying out where they think it was and documenting why they think it was. The time change happens Sunday. I mean, I think that they did exist. There's so many ancient civilizations worldwide that we're only finding like tidbits of them that have survived the ages up till now through all the different wars and changes in topography through the environment and so forth, that a lot of those didn't survive. And if they did, there's only remnants left. And that there's thought that what we have found is only a couple generations back worth of archaeological finds of ancient civilizations, that it doesn't go back like a couple millennia or something, or longer ago than that. So I guess it would really be a matter of belief at that point. Your body's been remembering all day, but that didn't happen until Sunday for the time change. I believe they did too. So, and some people again think that there's an alien race that was running it, which, technically could be possible, where, another race came to the planet and were running it, hence the higher beings and the higher advancement of the civilization could have come from that as a source. I think anything's possible. So, unless it's proven to me it doesn't. Okay, so I also was going to skip the Celestine Prophecies because that was just a book that got turned into a movie, and so it wasn't very long either, so I was skipping it. I mean, if it's something you guys want, we can go back and cover it, that's fine. But otherwise, on to Black Dogs and Hellhounds. They're waiting for us to get our shit together. Wouldn't that be something if we ever managed that? I hope so. So, black dogs. So what is a black dog? It's a motive of a spectral or demonic entity found in primarily in the British Isles, as far as its popularity goes. It's essentially a nocturnal apparition and in some case a shapeshifter. Ancient aliens theorized that Atlantis was a space station that just took off. I think that would be pushing it a little bit. It seems, a lot of because there's also been a ton of channeled messages that have come through about it as well, saying that, yeah, it went down. And, I think that they were involved, but do I think the whole thing was a spaceship? Probably not, because that'd be massive. I mean, if they had, like, a population of 4 million people, can you imagine the size of that ship? I mean, I can't wrap my head around that one. So I think that, yes, they were involved. Yes, there was a ship that probably took off afterward with the destruction of Atlantis, but I don't think that it was like the whole island. So, oh, the master wants food. And I know that I've seen before times I've had in both places, Atlantis and Lemuria, so I think that, yeah, they existed. And maybe not even in this dimension. I can't say that much, but I can say, yes, I have had before times there. So, black dogs. Now, a lot of people in the younger generations are only familiar with the idea of black dogs from the Harry Potter series. I believe it was the first or second Harry Potter book that talked about, Harry seeing a black dog everywhere, which was actually like his godfather taking a form of one, but it was paranoia over the idea of a black dog, that it was like an omen of death or of like a doomsday thingy to see one. So they're often thought to be associated with the devil or described as a ghost or a hellhound. Its appearance was regarded as a portent of death as well. So what were they supposed to look like? Now, they were supposed to be larger than a normal dog. So a small one would be thought to be the size of a mastiff. If anyone knows what a mastiff is, they're big puppies. And the large ones could dwarf bears or horses. Yep, the red eyes. And often has the red eyes or glowing eyes, like green and glowing eyes or the red eyes. Some people also know of the Hellhounds from the series Carry On My Wayward Son. Can't sing with crap, but you know. Okay, Mary, you have a good night, lady. Mastiffs are huge puppies, yes. So, a lot of people are familiar with Hellhounds from the show Supernatural, for those not familiar with it. I know it is. I can't sing it really well, but it's a good song. Can't help singing along with it when you hear it, but it's a good song. So, they're at the largest, they're thought to be, they could dwarf a bear and can be as big as horses, and at the smallest would be like the size of a mastiff. So either way, big mammer jammers. Sometimes they're also associated with electrical storms and also with crossroads, places of execution, and ancient pathways. Yep, Supernatural. Oh, it's a really good show, Sandy, if you ever have the opportunity to see it. If you're interested in paranormal and any, they also go into actually a lot of the topics and lore that we cover in here, except they're actually going and like battling those beings. So it's like it follows like a pair of brothers who kind of have their own struggles and battles as they go along that path as what they call hunters to take the monsters out, basically. Sully, yep. Yeah, it is a really good show, and it's the longest running show that was on ever on TV. It's like 15 years it was on. Pretty impressive. And people still didn't want to see it end, so there you go. So their hair is said to be black as coal, and they could have multiple heads or none at all. So what are their origins? So their origins, it's hard to tell and discern if it originated with cults or with Germanic elements of the British culture. Throughout European mythology, they've been associated with death across the board. And maybe it's due to the scavenging habits of dogs, of, seeing them and then kind of attributing them to being, importance of death. Yes, it is on Netflix too, so, but you can, I don't know, they might be on YouTube as well. Hard to say. I won't lie, I cried during the final episode. So black dogs are generally regarded as being malevolent or sinister or even directly harmful. Can also be a, quote, familiar, which is allegedly a demon attached to and obeying a witch and said to assume an animal form, or spirits for witches and warlocks. Yeah, I know it. But it'd be spectral in nature anyway. So the exceptions of that lore is the Gert dog in Somerset, England, and the black dog of the Hanging Hills in Connecticut. They're said to be guardian dogs that help travelers at night onto the right path to keep them from getting lost, or if they get lost, to kind of take them back to the right path to find their way, and to keep them from any danger on their paths. So seeing one can be as hard as because they're only seen at night, so they're only nocturnal. So seeing one's difficult at best, and they have black hair as dark as coal, also difficult to see at night. So you can see where some of the origin lore might have come up from of, well, I saw this and fill in the blanks, and to make the taller tales with each retelling, so that people like the attention of telling tall tales, and so it may have been added to and made much bigger and had things attributed to it in the retelling just to kind of trump up, maybe to keep you from falling asleep. Yeah, so it's like they were thought in that version of them to be helpful, not portents of death. So you also may smell sulfur or see a scorched trail behind them. So what are they like? So I feel like I'm advertising like a mythological creature dating profile here with all of these qualifications of them. They're more mysterious than hostile and only attack people when they're provoked. Their special abilities are they have high speed, they're very, very fast, and also an increased strength when compared to other predatory animals of their size. But if they're bigger than a bear, there's not too many other predatory animals bigger than a bear. So they're said to be able to outrace a cheetah and rip out trees with their claws, and also said to be able to shapeshift and conjure mist in the the environment, change their forms, and vanish into thin air. I know it's like, are you interested in dating a black dog? Well, have I got a black dog for you? Seen big black dogs killing a rabbit screaming years ago on a hill in my yard. Oh, that's terrible. Rabbits are so sad sounding when they're being harmed at all or being threatened. So some cultures associate fire with hellhounds, and they can play tricks with fire. So like you might see scorched earth where they've been walking. Sofa is a smell reported with the men in black. Interesting. Their claws are supposed to be hot as flames when they lash out at somebody, like, go to grab them. They can conjure up the higher pillars of flames or fire to disappear into. Their most dreadful ability is to be able to sense death. Lore says that if you see one, your odds of dying in the next year goes right through the roof. I wonder if they're one of the same. It could be, if they're shapeshifters. So it's said that if you see one 3 times, you're a goner. Now, it's unclear whether they're omens of death or the cause of death, because they sound pretty nasty to tangle with in most of the folklore surrounding them. So, the various folklore on them, in the Greek mythology, you have Cerberus, who is a hellhound kept by Hades, who is god of the underworld. And Cerberus's job was to stop souls from escaping back to the world above. So, you got sent to the underworld, and they would keep you there, essentially. They had 3 heads and ferocious jaws and the tail of a snake in Greek folklore. In Eastern folklore, like in China, they were described as being huge black demon dogs, named Tiangu, and is blamed for causing eclipses by eating the sun and the moon, or the moon, depending if it's a solar or lunar eclipse. In Japan, they were said to have a wolf-like demon called Okori Inu, who followed men and women who traveled at night. If a traveler showed cowardice by tripping and falling, he would eat them. If they were brave, it would escort them for protection. Then in English folklore, England's haunted by so many things. Very haunted out in England. And hellhounds are one of them. There's hellhounds are alleged to haunt England more than any other country. Each region has their own version of it. So in Yorkshire, England, he's a shapeshifter, often appearing as a headless woman, a white cat, or a rabbit, as well as traditional black dogs. Hi, Laurie. Now, how you would know if it's a black dog just because you see a rabbit or a white cat? I mean, that's a bit of a stretch, in my opinion. The headless woman, well, that could be accounted to any number of beheadings that took place there. For heaven's sakes, there's more than one can count. That was the main form of getting rid of people, officially back then. These were big. I may have seen them. You may have. Like I said, they're said to be bigger than bears and horses, or no smaller than a mastiff anyway. So in the coastal areas of Norfolk, Essex, and Suffolk in England, it's called black shuck. It has only one glowing eye in the center of its forehead. Generally are one of the gentlest kinds, and that he chooses to spend his time protecting women and young girls when they have to travel at night. So, a gentlemanly black dog. Also, legend has it that in the 16th century, he made an attack on 2 churches, killing 2 people and making the steeple fall through the roof. In Wales, theirs travels with a collective of other supernatural characters called the Wild Hunt. They spent time guiding lost souls to the underworld, which was supposed to be a paradise that could be reached after death. The Yes-hound of Devon is headless. He's rarely seen, but his wails are supposed to be able to be heard by night travelers, and often is interpreted as an omen for death. Then you go over to Scandinavian folklore. So in the earliest Norse culture, Odin was said to be accompanied by one or two monster wolves, which it's two. The Viking underworld was said to be guarded by a hound. And it's thought that many of England's folklore derived from or was inspired by Odin. Yep, absolutely. It's one and the same. By Odin's wolves. So he basically had wolves who would act as both battle companions and like followers, protectors for him. Scandinavian churches are still said to be haunted by church grims, as they could also be called. Spectral black dogs that guard churches from evil spirits who might try to invade the sacred ground. Now, originally, back in like Viking culture, which we had covered Vikings before, they had, they were not Christian. Many became Christianized after, the advent of the Catholic Church pressing in on everybody. But their original belief system was like Norse pagan beliefs. That was the foundation of beliefs. And so a lot of the pagan and the Christian beliefs melded, and that's how they got them to convert, as with every other belief system that they kind of integrate into Catholicism to convert people. Hey, if it's similar to your beliefs, you're more likely to come over to our side. So that's kind of how that happened. Native American folklore. They have indigenous people of Mexico and Central America having legends of Cadejo, who is a spirit dog often seen by travelers at night. And Cadejos come in black and white. They're evil and will kill if given a chance. But they can also be benevolent and will protect travelers from harm. They have goat hooves and horns for maybe the terrain of the area, which can be very mountainous and or craggy peaks. And they have the gift to speak with humans, but if you listen to them, you're supposed to go insane. Don't talk to us. Well, you can talk to us, but don't listen. You're going to be crazy. So, modern incarnations of these myths, they're hugely popular today in fantasy stories like The Hounds of Baskervilles by Arthur Conan Doyle, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling's. Even a character in video games like the Call of Duty and Final Fantasy. Hellhounds also have a link to the devil, like on TV show Supernatural, where they'll kill a person who's made a deal with a demon and allow their souls to be harvested. So in the show, they would make a deal with a crossroads demon for their greatest wishes or dreams to come true. But at any time in the future, about 15 years was average, then they would send the Hellhounds to collect their souls in the most brutal fashion possible, to really slaughter someone pretty nastily, and then take their souls back to hell, where they made the deal to sell their soul. So they're linked to the devil in that way. They may also be used to guard items and won't attack unless they're threatened or someone tries to steal whatever they're choosing to guard. Hellhounds originally were supposed to be God's companion, but when they became vicious, he had them all killed. Except for one who was supposed to be pregnant and got rescued allegedly by Lucifer, who went on to be the matriarch of all hellhounds roaming the earth and hell. Though they can become invisible, angels and demons can see them. but so can Sam and Dean with the use of special glasses cleansed by holy fire. So there you have it. Doesn't get any better than that. Thought I'd close on that little Sam and Dean note. So that's Black Dogs and Hellhounds, Lemuria and Atlantis, and Carillion Photography. Any questions, anybody? I mean, I can go into the ones I skipped, but they're shorter, and I do remember some of them I had pictures for, which I don't now, without looking them up, essentially. So next week, we could do scariest places on Earth that actually exist, Greek mythology, and dream interpretations, or skip dream interpretations, and do scrying, Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology, and the scientifically impossible places that actually exist. I will be binge watching again. Yeah, you know, I did too. Whenever I do, I have to start it at the beginning again now. No, Nancy, time doesn't change until this coming Sunday night, and then it goes ahead an hour, spring ahead. Yep. In some cultures, she's seen as the queen of the crossroads, but then, and also, it really depends where you want to look at it. That, witchcraft has their own version who is the queen of the crossroads, and the underworld. There's patron goddesses for that as well. So it really depends on what culture you're looking at as to which one does that. It was last night the time changed? No way. Really? Let me see. What's my tablet say? Because I was going by my phone. It's 9:14. Yeah, no, I got the right time. I did not change my clock, I don't believe, and so thought it was next week. Time changed here Sunday. Oh, I thought it was next week. Because I asked last night, and she said next week's date, so I said, oh, okay. Well, I guess it's a good thing that I also use my device clocks to tell me what time it is, so I know when to do it, because, yeah. I mean, the only other clock I have is, my battered old alarm clock from my nightstand, but I primarily do look at my devices, so I guess that it's good that the phones change and stuff automatically, and I do use those more than my nightstand clock, so... You want to know about scrying? Okay, my work day sucked up. Yeah, I found out last night when I asked about, why do we still even do it? So, we had stopped doing it after the end of World War II, and then it started back up again with the 1973 energy crisis that happened in the country when the last time gas prices shot way through the roof and oil was difficult to get a hold of. That's when it got reinstated again as a time change thing. But I mean, I still think it's stupid that we do it. It's not really giving. It's like I made a post that I actually got from my cousin the other day that was like, only white people would decide to take a blanket, cut 2 inches off the top, and then sew it to the bottom, saying they got a blanket that's 2 inches longer, which, it's not. Yes, during the Carter years. And so that's when it came back into existence. Like, there were some places that had gotten rid of it. Like, some had, like I said, it started out back in the 1800s, and then came back. It kind of waxed and waned through that period, and then it was reinstated during the war, and then it got most places had kind of still carried it up until after World War II came to an end, and then it got reinstated back in 1973. But there are still a few places that don't do it, and I think Hawaii is one of them. So, interesting anyway. But still, it's stupid, because you're not really gaining any more time in your day. So, no, I agree, Karen. I don't like it. I never have. Just screws people up. Obviously, because I thought my Alexa app said that it was next Sunday. So, Yeah, my like I said, my phone kind of, they automatically change, and I either check that for the time or my tablet because it's easier to read and bigger. Or I could just ask that app to tell me the time, and it'll tell me if I'm in the other room or whatever. So it is confusing. So that sounds like a plan for next week. We'll do. Actually, we have Scariest Places on Earth too. We could do Scariest Places on Earth, Scientifically Impossible Places that actually exist, and then up to you guys. We could jump over. It depends if you want to, how you want to order it. Like, I'm okay with it either way. So the order it went in originally was Scariest Places, the Impossible Places, Greek mythology, scrying, Egyptian mythology. I think it would probably be better to combine the two mythologies. Would be an interesting show. And then also Bible codes could be thrown in there too. And then work on like Scariest Places on Earth, Scientifically Impossible Places, and then put that maybe with scrying, because scrying's not, too complicated. You are very, very welcome. So does that sound like a plan for next week? Scariest Places, Scientifically Impossible Places, and like scrying? Me pick. Okay. I'll surprise everyone then. Nobody likes to choose, I know. You don't care. I've told people that before. I could do a show on how high do kangaroos jump, and my people would still be there. No, most people do. Like, most people really don't care as long as there is a show, and it's about getting together more than it is the topic. I could do, I'd do a how-to on how to pick your nose or something, and I bet you guys would still show, because you love me. And I'm blessed that way. And I do have time now. I thought it would be like a close crunch to jump. I have a meeting at 10 I have to go to, so I thought I'd okay, gotta make sure that's why I've been watching the clock, is to make sure I get done in time to get over to my meeting. But, alright, so I'll throw together at least, a triple threat for next week. How do fleas multiply? Yeah. No, I mean, I am blessed with that. I have all of your love and support. Just read us a New York phone book. Most people don't even know what a phone book is nowadays. Do a special show on how old phones used to work. You guys ever see those videos that have like teenagers and they're presented with a rotary dial phone, and they're asked to like go make a call on it, and they are so lost they have no idea how they work. It's hilarious. Florida news, now that would keep people busy. So happy it's on record. Yeah, Tanya, even if it's not, like, you can always come into the group because I broadcast from here. So what happens is, normally, is I am broadcast by somafusion, but she immediately once I'm on the air, she shares it into the group so people can come into the group to see it live and interact. Or you can go to somafusion Facebook page and see it there. Or you can go to the YouTube somafusion page and see it live there. And any comments that get made will come back into the group for me to see it. Is kind of how that all works. So you can, like, tonight is different only because of the issues of me getting into my tablet to access Facebook that way. But under normal circumstances, like, yeah, you can kind of always come into the group, and Katie, once I start the feed and start broadcasting, she shares it in here, so you'll always be able to see it. Yeah, you can always come into the group to watch it. Always. I mean, tonight's different because I'm doing it from my phone, live, in a Facebook Live, and she's going to upload it later to the server to put it out to everywhere that she magically puts it out to. And then otherwise, so it's an exception tonight, basically. I only go live in here typically if there's an issue from here, that is, if there's a problem or, Katie's unavailable or whatever. But yeah, you can always come into the group to watch it live. No, they do not make rotary phones anymore, but it is hilarious watching them try to use them. So yeah, so once like I get done, Katie can then take this and upload it onto YouTube. It won't be live anymore, but she can put it out everywhere from there. That's what the monthly membership dues go to, that you guys pay for, is for Katie to do that. So she's got all that technical equipment, and she's the computer whiz that I am not. So that's how that works. But yeah, it is different because it's a Facebook Live versus a traditional one. Hi, Sick Linda. We love you. Walmart still sells rotary phones? Really? That's funny. No, they don't. They think that they can just, press on the holes and that'll do it. And even if you get them a hint, it'll end up going up. Oh, it's notifications. So, I don't know why they're going off because I shut off all my notifications, but so it was buzzing that, Linda was watching. It was the last one, which now it shows in the group, but yeah. So that'll be what happens from here out, but yeah, you can always also widen the screen too, Tanya, by either turning your screen sideways or just clicking on the little corner icon for YouTube and blowing it up that way. She did, Linda. I'm so sorry you're sick, sweetie. They don't even lift the receiver when they... No, they don't. It's really funny. They're so, internet influenced, I guess. I mean, we're addicted to the internet every bit now as much as kids were, but we still remember the good old days when you'd have to dial a phone. So, no, it wasn't my furnace, Marianne. It was a notification telling me that Linda was watching it, which she then came in and said hi, so. But yeah, she'll broadcast it out from here, and then I'll share it out everywhere as well once I get off the air, like I normally do. So, then you can watch the replay if you missed anything. So, anyways, I love you all, and I will see everybody for book group who are interested. Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. We move the time and day. Well, the time's the same, but we move the day to Thursdays because now that I occupy a leadership role in the clan, I have a meeting I got to be to on Wednesday nights. So we pushed it back one day to Thursday nights now. So keep that in mind. Set your alarms, your notifications, whatever, change them as you need to make it to the book group on Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. Okay? Don't forget. And that's when we'll be on for book group. So, love to everybody. Thank you guys for putting up with the technological issues. And I will see you guys Wednesday night in book group or just around Facebook land in general. Good night, everybody. Love you all. Bye.